Hey there, nerds. Jim here with Matt Kindt, current writer on Valiant, one of my favorite, Unity and Rye, and then also with Mind Management.
How's it going?
Going good so far. How about you?
Good, good.
So this is sort of a basic question, but I think it's important to a lot of people that are interested in comics. You're originally from Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get into comics?
I got into comics just by reading them, like my whole childhood, And as I got older, I graduated college, and I was like, I still love comics, I love writing, I love drawing. And it was the only job I could think of where you could do writing and drawing, There's no other job where you can do that. And so I just started doing my own thing. I was doing mini comics, and then I did my first book, Pistol Whip, that I just did as a graphic novel, and took it to San Diego in 1999 or 2000. And I just hand delivered it to editors. I was like, hey, my name's Matt, and this is my book, and give me a call if you like it. And then a week later, I got a call from Top Shelf. They wanted to publish the book, just as is, and I've been doing books ever since.
Wow, that's fantastic. You don't hear many stories like that anymore.
No, I know. I was like, I wasn't rejected 100 times or anything, I've had such a good experience, and everybody I've worked with has been so friendly, I got lucky all along the way.
So of all the characters you've got to write about, who do you think is your favorite, the one that you really associate with best?
Of everything ever?
Yes, ever.
Okay, let's see. That is a tough one. Of everybody ever, I'm going to say Ninjak. How's that?
That's a great answer because it's one of my favorite characters.
Yeah, well, honestly, he's a ninja, and he's a spy, and he has a million gadgets, so he's got everything I've loved since I was 12.
So are you MI6? That's who you're associating with?
I guess so.
So about a year ago, we were interviewing with Valiant, and we were told that Unity was coming up, and then there was a lot of promotion about it. I absolutely love the intro to Unity because it builds up to this team who we think is going to be Unity, and right away, you changed that. I love that. How'd you get that idea?
I think that's an idea I've always wanted to do, and I never had the guts to do it, or could never find a publisher that had the guts to do something like that, where you just establish these characters and here they are, here's their power set, they had to be designed, knowing full well that you're designing these characters that are going to live 6 pages, and then you're just destroying them, and so finding a publisher that would be willing to do that, there aren't many, but that's the beauty of Valiant, is that the story comes first, and if it's a good story decision, it happens. And so, yeah, that was one of my favorite things.
It was perfect. I got drawn into Valiant way back with the original Christopher Priest, Quantum and Woody. Loved it. And then when they relaunched, I was on Archer and Armstrong, and really didn't stray too much till Quantum and Woody. And it was really when Unity came out, I went to go review it, and it was that decision when, I don't know, it was 5 or 6 characters, boom, gone in a second. And then I can't say the B team because they're still great characters, but the sort of the hodgepodge team comes together. Which one? You said Ninjak, but how did you get to pick these characters, or how did that come about?
Yeah, it was great because they're like, well, here's all of our characters, and who do you want, and whom, and the way I decided was just who made sense, Ninjak makes sense, because of who he works for, and then EXO made sense because EXO is one of my other favorites, I keep saying everyone's my favorite, but Ninjak will always be, but you can't have a team without EXO, and I felt like Livewire, I was really attracted to her as a character because she, was this great female character, and I felt like it's a universe that has so many super strong guys, but I was like, I really want to do a strong female character, that could be the leader of the team, and so she for sure had to be on it. And then Eternal Warrior, he's in every war ever, so of course he's going to be on it. It was easy actually to put that team together.
That's very cool, and I agree with you on Livewire. Recently, I believe the most recent issue, we're in the Armor Hunters, and Livewire is still feeling the effects of Dr. Silk, and it was a very strong character development study, sort of, because we don't know really who she is. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, I think she's a character who, we know the least about. She's, in the old Valiant, we didn't get much of her, and so I'm really getting a chance to sort of roll her out as a character and flesh her out and reveal her who she is, and sort of make her into not just a strong character, but just a character that you can really get to know and really get excited about. and I didn't want her to be like an Invisible Woman character who's like fourth on the team, and her power is sort of passive, and I wanted her to be really active and to be like one of the strongest characters, to be able to stand up to EXO, and be the only one really that can do it. And so that's, to me, I think she's just going to be stronger and stronger as the series goes.
Now, it's kind of been alluded, because he's not dead per se, but are we going to see Dr. Silk come back?
Yeah, we will. My editor keeps telling me not to put Dr. Silk in everything I write.
No!
Let's have Dr. Silk, and it's like, we'll have him here, and then even in Rye, like year 4000, I'm like, I figured out a way to worm him in there, and but yeah, he's like, let's have some other villains, but I love Dr. Silk, so I'll try to put him in first, and then everybody else is my second choice.
Yeah, he was a great sort of super villain to first come on. And we've sort of been used to, with these huge crossovers, that you have to buy each book, and then this big event happens, and it just really takes over that book no matter what was going on. But I noticed with Unity, we kind of just keep Unity together. We didn't see so much of Exo Manowar in this last issue, but you kind of still kept going with Unity being Unity. I really enjoyed that. How does it go further with Armor Hunters?
Yeah, I think that's one of the things where Valiant has a real strength, and when they do the big crossovers, it's not like, you got to buy 10 issues to get one story, and then you're getting the same story 10 times. It's definitely an organic process where I'm working with Rob like really closely. I'm friends with Rob, and so it's easy to just call him up, or we'll have a conference call and be like, hey, what do you want to do, or here's how I want to end this issue, and then how does that impact yours, and it's really fun. In issue 11, I just saw the final art on it, and it's an issue that wouldn't have happened, if Rob hadn't done what he had done and came up with Armor Hunters characters, and Ginger, who's the big robot, I was like, it was my favorite character. I'm like, this is the best thing ever, and now I've been wanting to do a giant robot something, since I started at Valiant. I'm like, let's do a giant robot story, and this is the first time it really made sense. So issue 11, like the first 10 pages it's about Ginger, the big robot, and then it sort of pulls back, and then you see how it all ties into Unity. But that's the beauty of Valiant, the beauty of the way the process works is, you come up with a good story, and then you get to tell the story, and it's not about, we gotta jam all these characters into this issue, or put them all on the cover. It's about, let's do a good story, and then we'll sell the good story.
Very cool. Now, we saw, I believe it was maybe the last page or very near the end of the page on last Unity, with a new character sort of in the pages of Unity with Bloodshot. Mm-hmm. And he was the one sort of overseeing, protecting Livewire there. Are we going to see more of Bloodshot?
Yeah, I think so. And he'll play a bigger role in like sort of the final act of Armor Hunters, and he's sort of like this crazy super weapon that you just drop in when you need something killed, so it's kind of what the role he's going to play. But I really like to see him sort of interact with Livewire, because I think the Livewire's unique power set with her ability to sort of talk to technology and have that communication, made her relationship with EXO interesting, and I think it really makes her relationship with Bloodshot interesting as well, because he's basically got these nanites that are a technology that Livewire can communicate with, and so them sort of interacting is really interesting, as they both sort of, she's sort of questioning her humanity, and that's all what he's about, is like, am I human, and so having them together is kind of a natural fit.
Very cool. So when you guys come up with these story arcs like that, where you're basically taking out multiple books, do you guys sit in around a room, pitch ideas? How does that work?
Yeah, we do. Valiant is really good about getting all the writers together, and the last 2 years, they fly us all up, put us in a room, and for like 2 or 3 days, we just talk about, what we want to do with our series, with our titles we're working on, where they're going, what's happening with them now, and everybody just takes a turn. You go around, and then we're like, well, what do you want to do for the year, and then we sort of, you come to the meeting with some ideas, and you're like, hey, what if we do this? What if we do that? How about this? And it's just an organic process where we're just sort of co-creating this universe together, and everybody, I'm friends with everybody there. I've been fans of, Rob forever, and Josh, and Jeff, and I have been friends for like 10 years. So having him coming to that writer meeting is kind of awesome. It's just like working with your friend. It's like you're 12 years old sitting at the kitchen table, like, hey, what if we do this? And then everybody sits around and you draw the comic and you put it out, and it's kind of awesome, you know. And it's exactly that feeling, you know, when we're working together. And so it's funny. I just, it's one of the few meetings where I get excited. I'm like, oh, I can't wait. You know, it's going to be so much fun. It's like a little vacation, you know, even though it's work. But
That's very cool. Now, the one character that really isn't in this time, obviously, because he's very much in the future, is Rye.
Mm-hmm.
What are we going to see coming from Rye?
Rye it's interesting because they're giving me some space, you know, to sort of establish Rye and pull back from his character and sort of show the year 4000, you know, and then he's eventually going to tie in and loop into some of the present day stuff, and we have a unique way for him to sort of tie into the universe with the Valiant, which is sort of like a epic story that sort of pulls everybody in. So we're trying to get every single character into that series in some way, you know, that makes sense, which includes Rye, which is sort of the trick. It's like, how do we get a character from 4001, you know, in our present day story? But Jeff and I just sat around and we figured out a way to do it where it's going to be interesting. So eventually things he's doing will impact present day, and things in present day are going to have an impact on, you know, the year 4001, but I can't spoil it.
Okay.
I can though, you know. I'm tempted. One of these interviews, I'm just going to go down my outline and tell you every single thing for the next year, and then everyone's going to hate me. They're like, why'd you do that? Like, well, you asked me what was going to happen.
Now, I kind of cheated. I heard an earlier interview where, you know, is this book going to be short-term, long-term? And I kind of heard the answer, but I want to have you go ahead and say it. What are the sort of future plans run of Rye?
Yeah, I have a long-term plan. When I turned in the pitch for the series, I basically had like a 3-year outline, you know, with ideas for not just him and the supporting cast, but also for every single character in the universe, you know, like ideas for, you know, what happened to them, you know, in the year 2014, and then, you know, everything leading up to 4001, and so a lot of that stuff is things I just wrote, you know, not just on spec. It's, you know, it's like, here's what I think can be. I think this might be cool, you know, but I just wanted to have an idea of what might have happened or what it could have been. So there's a huge plan for Rye, and it's a big universe, and I'm starting out small. I'm pulling back so you can just see more and more and more, and then eventually you'll see how big it is and how everything in the present day sort of does feed into the story that we've been reading all along.
Very cool. Now, you have 3 ongoing with then Mind Management?
Yeah.
And where are we with Mind Management?
I just finished issue 25. I'm trying to think which one came out. Issue 24 comes out this month. I'm not sure what week, but yeah. So I'm issue 25. I just finished, and I've written up to issue 30, and issue 36 is the last one. So we got another year to go, and I'll be done.
I've always, I mean, maybe you don't feel this way. I've always seen that as kind of your baby because that's yours. How do you feel as it's winding down?
It's honestly, it's weird, you know, because I've never done a monthly book all on my own like that before. It's always been a graphic novel where I take a year and I finish it beginning, middle, end, and it's done. So this is a thing where I've spent so much time with it. It's been 2 years, you know, and I've never spent that much time on one project. So I don't know, you know. I'm friends with Brian Hurt, who does a book called The Sixth Gun, you know, and they're getting close to being done, you know. We're studio mates, so we work together, and he's drawing like the last 3 covers, and I'm like, I was like, what's it like to do those last covers, you know? Do you feel sad, or is it weird, you know? Because I want to know what it's going to feel like. And he's like, yeah, I don't know yet, you know, until I'm done with the last one, I don't know what I'm going to feel like. And so it's the same with me, where I'm like, it's been a part of my life for so long compared to anything else I've worked on. It's going to be weird to be done. And I know I said issue 36 is the last one, but I've told my wife, I was like, well, maybe I can do like a limited series that's like a prequel, or I have ideas for other stories I can still tell. And so there's always that backup plan of like, if I miss it so bad, I can still go back into the world and do something. But I don't know. We'll see when I get there.
you're not alone. It's a trend, I guess, because we interviewed Mark Buckingham earlier, and Fables is coming down to its final run, and it seems to be a thing coming down.
Yeah, no, that's even longer than mine. I don't know how, it is weird.
150 issue?
Yeah, it's the relationship between you and that book is so different when it's long like that. Like every book I've done, it's a year of my life, but then it seems like that's okay, but this seems like it's much longer. Like I'm a different person now than when I started, and if you do 150 issues, I mean, you're completely different, than you were when you started that book. So it's interesting, all around. It's just there's no feeling like it.
Now, in mind management, that's your own sandbox. You can do whatever you want. Valiant, you obviously are working with characters that, if not we have preconceived notions of, they are certainly characters we're familiar with. How do you go differentiating? Is it difficult? Is it easy? How do you do that?
Yeah, it's funny. I think when I first started, I came in with a preconceived notion of what it was going to be like to write for them, and I'm like, I was putting all these weird constraints on myself, like, okay, we can't do this, or we need to tell the story in this way, or, and there needs to be page one, and then you turn the page as a splash page with the credits, and, that sort of formula that you can fall into, and then the more I've worked with them, right away, right off the bat, with Unity #1, I was working with Warren, and I wrote it all, and then he came back, and he's like, what if I gave you like 8 more pages? What would you do with it? And I was like, I'd make it 8 more pages awesome, but you're gonna give me 8 more pages? Like, he's like, if you want it, if you need it, if you think the story needs it, you can have it. And I was like, great, and I was able to just go back in and add, this whole extra section, at the beginning, that made that issue, like it wouldn't have been half as good if I hadn't had the flexibility to add those pages. And ever since then, even from the beginning, there's been no weird line in my mind where I'm like, this is my stuff and this is my work for hire stuff. I feel like I'm working on creator-owned books when I write the Valiant books. There's no distinction, and they do such a good job of making an atmosphere where it's like, hey, don't be afraid of anything, and there's no too crazy idea, if there is, we'll let you know. But everything so far I've pitched them, has been like, yeah, let's do it, or let's, or what else you got, or what else do you want to do, and it's just been honestly an experience like no other as far as work for hire goes. It's amazing.
Now, you said Mind Man's coming to an end. What do we have in the future as far as, are you staying on Rise, staying on Unity? I really hope so. What do we have in the future?
Yeah, well, I'm doing Rise ongoing and Unity is ongoing, and then I'm doing the Valiant with Jeff Lemire and Paulo, so that's going to keep me busy. When Mind Management is done, actually in the spring I'm doing another creator-owned book with Dark Horse called Pastaways, with Scott Collins, who's going to do the art, it's his first creator-owned book, and so I'm kind of excited for him. Because it's like, oh, finally you're doing a creator-owned book. This is where it's at. So I'm doing that, and then I'm also doing something else for Valiant, which, they're going to announce when they announce it. And then when my management is done, I have another ongoing series I'm going to write and draw that I've already signed a contract for. Dark Horse is going to do it, and basically they gave me another blank slate to just do whatever I wanted. So I'm booked for like the next 6 years, and I couldn't be happier.
That's fantastic, and we cannot wait to read those stories. So thank you very much, Matt.
Appreciate it.
Enjoy the rest of your con, and keep writing awesome stories.
Okay, thanks. Hi, I'm Matt Kindt. You're watching Nerdlocker, the place for your inner nerd.